Academic libraries worldwide are undergoing dramatic changes and taking on new roles and responsibilities. The adaptive library is one that is well positioned to support these changes. In this video, you'll learn how Ex Libris and ProQuest offer a full suite of integrated software that can support the needs of a wide range of stakeholders as they engage with the library in many ways. The academic library of the 21st century is much more than just a place to find books and journal articles. All over the world, libraries are reinventing themselves for a new era of research and learning. For instance, libraries are building new meeting rooms for students to learn collaboratively. They're building research labs, makerspaces, coffee shops, and places for students and faculty to hang out and talk, read, or study. They're adding new technologies to support research and learning, such as laptops, tablets, Wi-Fi hotspots, and augmented or virtual reality devices. In short, they're becoming not just places to borrow books and resources, but modern hubs for supporting teaching, learning, and research. This transformation was already well underway, but the emergence of the global pandemic has accelerated it. COVID has really changed the game, forcing institutions to pivot to remote, and libraries play a critical role in enabling this remote access to information resources. User expectations have been shifting for many years, fueled by the rise of consumer sites like Amazon that deliver fast, customized digital service. This is the standard that libraries are now compared to, and libraries have had to step up their game in response. If we think about the library of today, it has librarians who are managing all kinds of academic content, including print, electronic, and digital resources. But libraries are also expanding their impact on the campus community by branching out into other areas. Aside from the traditional work of providing access to materials, libraries are managing, supporting, and enabling other processes within higher education, such as teaching and learning, research, and student success initiatives. This is where libraries must be able to adapt in order to fill more than just traditional roles. With these new roles and responsibilities, libraries are serving additional stakeholders. Besides the librarians who are doing the work of the library and the students who need access to content, libraries also must support the needs of faculty and researchers effectively. These stakeholders create a constant demand for scholarly content. The library must ensure that stakeholders have access to the content they need when they need it. However, libraries must deliver this content within their budgets. To do this, they must ensure that their collections are chosen wisely so their budgets are used effectively. The question is, how can libraries acquire the right content that stakeholders need in the most cost-effective way while also making it extremely easy for stakeholders to find and use this content? While libraries can acquire content in many ways, the two main ways are by purchasing or borrowing it. From there, the content must be easily distributed to the student who is completing a research paper, for example, or to the instructor who's building his course reading list. Over the last few years, Ex Libris and ProQuest have developed a fully integrated suite of solutions to meet all of a library's challenges in the most unified way across the industry. We can easily map these solutions to the various ways in which stakeholders engage with the library. For instance, Alma is a unified platform that helps librarians manage their print, electronic, and digital materials using a single interface. Rialto is a vendor-neutral platform for purchasing academic content from a variety of publishers with insights and analytics that help librarians make smart decisions about how best to choose and acquire content. Rapido helps manage resource sharing between libraries. Primo and Summon are discovery services that help users find content and drive student success. Esploro helps manage the entire research lifecycle, and Leganto supports teaching and learning by facilitating the construction and management of course resource lists. The full suite of products holds even more value for academic institutions because all of these solutions run on the same higher education cloud platform. They all use the same infrastructure, the same cloud technology, and the same data structure, which means adding these products to your institution is extremely easy. It's like using Legos. You can start with Alma, and then easily add Leganto or Rialto and expand from there. You can implement all of these solutions together, or choose only the ones you need. In the next couple of minutes, we'll look at various scenarios to see how these solutions work together to support common tasks and workflows. Let's meet a hypothetical library director. She needs to make sure she's optimizing her library's use of money and that users have easy access to the content they need online to support remote teaching and learning. It sounds easy, but it's actually a very challenging mission. It starts with understanding what the library already has available on its shelves, what content it subscribes to, and what resources it has access to through partnerships and consortia. Our hypothetical library director has easy access to all of this information within Alma and Rialto. With this insight, she can see which items aren't available to students in a digital format, and she can determine the most cost-effective way to make these materials available to students online. For instance, she can compare the cost of purchasing an electronic subscription with the costs involved in scanning and digitizing a print collection. Once the new material has been added, it's available within minutes for users to find using the Primo and Summon discovery tools. What's more, the built-in analytics within Alma reveal how much each item is being used, so our hypothetical director can ensure that library resources are leveraged effectively. Does it make sense to stop paying for a particular resource if it's not being used very often? Perhaps it would be wiser to have students request this particular resource through a consortium or interlibrary loan system. Library directors can see what assets have been added recently, how much these materials are being used, and what it's costing the library for each use. These insights are available in an easy-to-use visual format, and they can be shared with university executives so that libraries can demonstrate the value they're providing to the institution. Here's an example of how Rialto can help library leaders ensure that students have access to materials in digital format. This intelligent software can suggest items it thinks might be relevant for your library. For instance, if the system notices that you have a print-based book, but not an electronic copy, it will suggest how you might obtain the ebook version of that offering as well. That way, you don't have to manually search through your offerings to find out if you have an electronic version of a resource. Here's a screenshot showing the analytics within Alma. On the left, you can see a report showing the library's electronic inventory, how many ebooks, journals, videos, and other resources you own. In the middle, you can see how much money you've spent on each type of resource, as well as how much you have left in your budget to make new purchases in these areas. On the right, there's a graphic showing the most widely used journals at your institution, but you can easily change this display to show the most widely used ebooks, visual resources, and so on. At a glance, you can get a good overview of your collection, your finances, and the usage of these materials. You can use these insights internally or disseminate them to leaders in your organization. Now, let's talk about Susan. She's a second-year student doing some research as part of an assignment, and she's looking for relevant materials. She begins with an article that was recommended in her course reading list. She searches for this article and finds it easily within Primo or Summon, our discovery services. She sees that the article is available online, so she clicks on the title and is immediately taken to a PDF of the full text within Alma, which she can save for use later on. Within the record of that item in Primo or Summon, Susan also sees that she has recommendations for other materials. She can see related items, such as other articles that were cited within the article she began with. Typically, you would have to go to the article's bibliography to find this information, but Susan can also see links to later articles that cited the one she started with. She can easily click on any of those recommendations to get to those articles, which again, are all relevant to her research. Each of these recommendations produces further recommendations of its own. Within minutes, Susan now has multiple articles to guide her research. From a single initial record, she has quickly discovered a lot more relevant material, much faster and more easily than she could have found on her own. This is similar to the experience consumers have when they search the web or use e-commerce sites, and they're offered other suggestions that are relevant to their searches. Here, we can actually see what this looks like within Summon. In this example, a user has searched for an article. Within each search result, there is an option to preview the resource, get a direct link to the PDF, view articles that either cite the record or were cited by it, and see other related articles. Clicking on Related Articles opens up a pane on the right side of the screen, which shows articles that are related to the one the user began with. Here, you can see how the experience looks within Primo. Again, there is a link to the full text of the article. Under Citations, we can see links to sources either citing the article or cited by it. And on the right-hand side, we can see related recommendations. These are just some of the ways the Ex Libris discovery tools help users find additional materials that are relevant to their searches, making their lives easier and allowing them to complete their research much faster than before. From the faculty perspective, instructors spend a lot of time building out their courses and choosing the materials they're going to assign to students. After all of this work, they want to make sure that students will be able to access these resources effectively. This is something the library can help with. But in order to do this, librarians have to understand which resources are being used for instruction. Here, you can see how the library might work to support Professor Hamilton, an instructor who wants to make sure her students will have access to course materials. She begins by searching the library's collections for materials that will be available for students. She can use either Primo or Summon to do this, and she can also do this within Leganto, our platform for managing course resource lists. When she finds relevant materials that she wants to assign to students, she adds them to her course resource list. She can flag certain resources as required reading, and she can add notes for her students as applicable. As she's building her list of resources, she finds that one of the books she wants to use is not available through the library's collections. However, she can still add this book to her course list. She can use the Cite It tool within Leganto to quickly pull the information about this book and add it as a resource with a single click. When she does this, the system also notifies the library automatically. The library can configure Leganto to generate a purchase request whenever an instructor adds a resource to a course list that the library doesn't already own. If the library also uses Rialto, which is the selection platform that shows librarians all of the available versions of a resource and helps them decide which version to buy, the purchase request will integrate with Rialto automatically. Librarians can see details such as how many students are in the course and whether the resource has been tagged as essential reading, so they can make sure they're purchasing the best option for the resource to align with what is needed for the course. Once a new resource is purchased, it's automatically linked back to the citation in Leganto, so students can access the resource immediately. You can see some of this in action. Here you can see how the instructor might use the Cite It tool to bring resources into their reading list. When an instructor clicks on Cite It, the tool automatically checks to see if the library has an existing copy of the resource. In this particular example, because the library doesn't have this resource, it automatically generates a purchase request. Here, you can see what the purchasing experience looks like within Rialto to purchase this item which is required in a course. The library can set up configurable rules for when a purchase request is created. For example, when a resource is tagged as essential and the library doesn't have an electronic copy, this integrates with the purchase request workflows in Alma and Rialto, so the library who's making the purchase in Rialto can see not only the purchase request, but also any relevant information about the course. Let's take a look at the power of Primo working together with Alma and the new resource sharing platform from Ex Libris, Rapido. Meet Amanda, an undergraduate studying art history. Amanda is researching the sculptor Louise Nevelson for a paper she's working on. Using Primo, she finds several articles and other resources that she'd like to use in her paper. Some of these items are available in her library's collections, so she places holds on those books. The hold requests get routed through Alma, and she's able to pick up those books from the library. But one book that would be important for her paper is not held locally. In Primo, she expands her search to include resources available through other libraries. This search happens through Rapido. She finds what she wants, and Rapido informs Amanda that if she places a request for the item, it will be delivered in 5 days. However, Amanda needs her paper done by the end of the week. Within Rapido, she notices that she can request a copy of the relevant chapter from the book she needs instead, and she'll receive that book chapter within 24 hours. Because her paper is due soon, she goes ahead and places that request. The next day, she receives a PDF copy of the book chapter, and she's able to complete her paper on time. So, success! Here, you can see what Rapido looks like to users. The goal of Rapido is to transform the resource sharing experience, both from the user perspective, but also from the staff perspective. You can see from this example that if you were to place a request for this particular item, you'd get a physical copy within 5 days, and you would be able to keep it for up to 2 weeks. Or, you have the option of requesting a single chapter within 24 hours. This is more like an Amazon-like experience, where you can choose which delivery option works best for you. These systems work together to give users access to content from wherever it's available. What's more, there is a very clear indication of what the user can expect when he or she places a request, which reduces the likelihood that the request will go unclaimed. Here's how the ProQuest and Ex Libris ecosystem can benefit Ellen, a library collections manager. As part of her role, she'd like to make sure the content she buys meets the needs of stakeholders and that she manages the library's budget in the most cost-effective way. As we saw in the previous slides, a user can borrow a title that the library doesn't own through Rapido. Once a title is requested a certain number of times through Rapido, Ellen can receive an automatic notification recommending that she purchase this high-demand item. Ellen can search for the title through Rialto, review alternatives for purchasing it, and make the right decision that best meets her library users' needs. If the library is using the resource sharing capabilities within Alma, Ellen can also learn about this high-demand title through Alma Analytics, and she can choose whether to purchase the item that way. Ellen might decide that instead of making buying decisions manually, title by title, she'd like to leverage Rialto's powerful capabilities to have a more efficient way of purchasing high-demand titles. So, she creates a selection plan within Rialto to purchase titles automatically when they've been requested a certain number of times through Rapido. Again, for libraries using the resource sharing capabilities within Alma, they can do the same thing based on the Alma Analytics. The streamlined workflows that result from these systems working together help Ellen make more informed purchasing decisions, while also saving her a lot of time and helping her manage the budget efficiently. Here's a screen capture that illustrates this scenario. This is the Rapido interface, where Ellen can see that a specific title has been requested at least 5 times. By clicking on the link, she's able to see the various options for purchasing that item within Rialto, so she can make the best decision for the library. Here's what that process looks like within Rialto. Based on the information she receives here, Ellen can make the best purchasing decision for her library. Here, we have another collection manager, Anne, and she wants to expand the library's collection with work produced by researchers affiliated with her institution. To do this, she cross-references information coming from Alma and Esploro, the research management platform from Ex Libris. She looks in Esploro for content written or published by researchers at her institution, and she compares this with information from Alma to see which of these works are actually owned by the library. Then, she creates a list of the books published by faculty that the library doesn't own. She goes to Rialto, where she's able to purchase those books, and those items are now available for students to borrow within Alma. As we know, researchers are often asking students to read content they've published in their Leganto reading lists. Now, those books will be available in the library as a result of this process. This is what the Esploro dashboard looks like. In the upper left corner, we can see a report of the library's holdings published by faculty. We can see that 81% of the books published by faculty are owned by the library, but that leaves 19%, or more than 2,000 books written by faculty, that the library doesn't own. In the bottom right corner, we can see journals held by the institution that contain articles published by faculty, as well as journals that aren't held by the institution, in which researchers are frequently publishing. Again, those journals are ideal candidates for subscribing to. Another benefit of the Ex Libris ProQuest ecosystem is that all of these products are based on open standards and integrate seamlessly with other software. In the last few years, ProQuest and Ex Libris have worked closely together to make sure that these cloud-based solutions connect with various ProQuest systems. Through readily available APIs and out-of-the-box integrations, these solutions also connect with practically any other academic software, such as student information systems, learning management systems, enterprise resource planning systems, and more. The cloud creates additional opportunities for institutions to collaborate. It's a virtual space where multiple libraries can work together using the same cloud platform to share resources, data analytics, community catalogs, and more. Our goal is to meet academic libraries wherever they need support, helping them become fully adaptive enterprises. Some libraries might aim for a complete transformation, moving from one on-premise software to our full suite of solutions working together. Others might want to implement just a small piece of what we offer. Whatever your goal might be, we deliver the right solutions at the right time to power institutional success.